Microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everyone. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Kello Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour. It is great to have you along this morning. I feel like my head's going to explode. It's just been one of those mornings. I come in this morning and we were without, I shouldn't say totally without power. Our building, I don't know how it was constructed, but when we have a power outage, portions of the building are without power. Other parts of the building have power. And our studios this morning were totally without power. We've been aware of this. We have gone through a number of different things over the years, and our company is invested in backup generators. So we got a generator out back so that the stations, even when the power's out, we're still on the air. But at it's still, we don't have access to everything we normally do. So we have been working to try to make sure, computers are up. And the thing about all of this broadcast equipment, it's not just the board. It is, the processor. It is it's the called delays, the delay switch, all of these various things, all of that goes down. It was just an absolute nightmare. So the show did not start this morning at 6 a.m. as we normally do, because I was running around during time that I normally would be prepping. I'm usually flying by the seat of my pants when I come in every day. I mean, I don't have time to waste. So I get right at it. It's boom, 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 boom. I've got quite a routine that I go through each day. Boom, 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 boom. And in preparing the show. And when you got to spend an hour, again, I prep for about 2 hours. It's actually, I would say I prep for closer to 90 minutes. And then the rest of that is maybe I'm gathering that, putting it all together. So it's about 90 minutes of preparation time. And then a good 20 minutes going through it, putting it in order. How do I attaching stories that I'm going to, related stories, same story written by other sources to give you as much as I can. So when I've got to run around doing all of these other things, which I had to, that's the way it is. Putting together a show, it's like, no way. I mean, I am not one of those people that can just crack open the mic and just talk. Some people have that gift, and them. I bet people, they could just go on and on, able to speak at length. I want to be bringing content to you that is meaningful. I want to let you know what the big stories of the day are, rather than just getting on the air and talking to fill the time. And that to me would be painful. So I can't imagine how painful it would be for you. Because I would think that would be pretty painful. I'm going to wind up talking about a lot of things. You're going to go, what the hell is he? What is he up to today? So that's why this morning, the Greg Belfrage Show did not start at 6. I thought, okay, here's what we can do. If I eliminate that first hour, now I've got time to catch up. And I had interviews in the 8 o'clock hour. We talked to Jim Olander. We had Iowa Senator Joni Ernst. I am more and more taken with her and the work that she is doing. Very honestly, I really appreciate the Doge work that she continues to do, even though Elon Musk is out. So I knew we were pretty set in the 8 o'clock hour. So in the 7 o'clock hour this morning, forgive me, what I did was just recap I did what I normally do at 6 a.m. That's where I hit the top of the news stack. And I go through the big stories of the morning. And then I felt like, okay, we're hitting, starting to hit. And then about 8 o'clock, I had Jimmy on the phone talking about the Sioux Falls Stampede. And then the power comes back on. And my phone blinks and it's rebooting. And I thought, oh no, am I going to lose the call? It's like, oh man, we didn't. But it's just one of those mornings. Man, I just felt like more stress in the course of about 4 hours this morning that I normally have in like a month. Oh, I apologize, but eliminating that first hour of the show really made a difference. What it allowed me to do is be able to be coherent for a couple of hours, at least this morning, because when you walk in, there are alarms that are going off. And I thought, well, I'm going to ignore that. I'll just go up and I'll start doing my regular things in the studio, and then I'll come back and I'll deal with this. And I go into Kellawam and I turn the lights on. No lights. The lights are out. Now the computers are still up because we've identified equipment we need to keep up and running when the power goes out. So we got a backup generator that fires up. So the station's up and running. The computers are running, but no lights. There are no lights in any of the studios. So a few years ago, the company installed emergency lights. So I reach up, turn on the emergency lights. Yeah, those are up and running. But it's one of those mornings where you just feel like you're flapping your wings the whole morning. So thanks for your understanding and for being patient. And for those of you who maybe don't even tune in until past 7 o'clock, I hope you didn't notice any differences. But that's why the Greg Belfrage Show did not hit the air this morning at 6. Wasn't because I was late. It was because of issues in the building that took us a period of time to correct. So again, thanks for your patience. I really appreciate all of you more and more. And I hope you know that. Okay, Elon Musk, and I touched on this with Iowa Senator Joni Ernst when she was on the program this morning. Elon Musk saying, yeah, if he had it to do over again, yeah, he wouldn't do Doge. He wouldn't do it over again. He was asked whether he thought it was successful. And he said he thought it was a little bit successful. We were somewhat successful, he said. That the initiative stopped a lot of funding that just really made no sense and was entirely wasteful spending. So would he do it again? Now, keep in mind, remember what happened with Tesla and what happened. You had all of these left-wingers who loved Tesla. And when Elon Musk was part of cutting the federal government and working with Trump, of course, these leftists, they all melt down. They melted down and they were going on destroying Teslas at dealerships, and they would see a Tesla somewhere and they would just trash the Tesla. Incredible. Tesla sales suffered as a result of Elon Musk. So Elon Musk said that if he had it to do over again, probably would. He said, I think instead of doing Doge, I would have worked in my companies, essentially. He said they wouldn't have been burning the cars. And that was just like crazy, which is the word I think that we associate with the left more than ever. Crazy, right? I mean, the reaction to everything is just over the top nuts. You just shake your head. You go, what in the world are they doing? What are they thinking? Also, Piers Morgan and Nick Fuentes. Washington Examiner's got a piece. Piers Morgan exposes Nick Fuentes for the fraud that he truly is. And he writes, it's hard to look away from a train wreck. That may be why Piers Morgan's new interview with Nick Fuentes had more than 2 million views on YouTube in less than 2 hours. You imagine that? I would kill for those kind of no, I don't know that I would. But he says, he goes on to talk about basically, what Morgan did was showed Nick Fuentes and what an absolute fraud he actually is. And this piece at the Washington Examiner talks about Morgan doing what other softball interviewers have not done, like Tucker Carlson in his interviews, that he asked follow-up questions. He followed up what Fuentes was saying. And so Morgan asked him, what percentage of American blacks, I want to back that up a little bit, because Fuentes has talked about blacks and them belonging in prison. Fuentes said, Jews are running society. Women need to shut the F up. Blacks need to be imprisoned. And for the most part, we would live in paradise. It's that simple. And so while other interviewers have glossed right over that, Piers Morgan didn't. Morgan said, well, what percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison? And he said, whatever the percentage is of the murderers. I think it's maybe 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe 5%. Now he's pulling the numbers right out of his ass because none of that's correct. I just want to make sure you understand that none of that is correct. He's pulling those numbers right out of thin air. And so this piece at the Washington Examiner says, wait, what? In the span of 30 seconds, Nick Fuentes went from defending the statement that most blacks should be in prison to say, no, what he actually means is just a tiny fraction of black people who commit murder. Those folks should be in prison otherwise. And so basically what it boils down to is Fuentes is just totally bogus. The guy's bogus. And he concludes here that Fuentes fans aren't the only ones who need to learn a lesson from this interview. So too should every legacy media figure and liberal activist who ever push some of these things that Fuentes is saying. And he says, sometimes sunlight can, in fact, be the best disinfectant. And thanks to Piers Morgan, millions can now see Nick Fuentes for the fraud that he truly is. Also, I had this story this morning. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, what Governor Abbott is doing in Texas, he has joined with Turning Point USA, holding a news conference earlier this week. They have started a partnership throughout the state aimed at this would be Turning Point USA, Club America chapters. And Abbott wants them in every public high school in Texas. So these Turning Point USA chapters, you know about Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA, and now Erica Kirk, who's running it since Charlie's assassination. And so Abbott said, he also told Texas schools, any attempt to block these Turning Point USA youth chapters would trigger state intervention. He said, let me be clear. Any school that stands in the way of a Club America program in their school should be reported immediately to the Texas Education Agency. An investigation will be opened and disciplinary action will be taken if necessary. Quite a different point of view. So Turning Point USA is the organization that Charlie Kirk co-founded, and Charlie Kirk's death now has sparked a high degree of interest in Turning Point USA. And what you see Texas doing with these Club America chapters, and Abbott making it very, very clear, that the schools are not going to cooperate, report this to the Texas, education board, and they're going to deal with it, and they will investigate it and look into it. It's, I think Charlie Kirk's legacy is incredible. as we watch it unfold. And that's what we see happening down in Texas. There was another story that I had run across this morning coming from a conservative fiscal watchdog group. It's a group called Open the Books. They keep track of government metrics and government growth, government spending, that kind of thing. And some of that is, not all that sexy, but it's important because what they found is that since 1916, per capita government spending, so in other words, the amount of money that the federal government spends per person in the United States, right? Since 1916, the amount of money that the federal government spends per person in the United States is 9,800% bigger. That is crazy. So in 1916, the government spent an average of about $200 per person. Now the federal government spends 20,000, nearly, I think it's nearly $20,500, just about, a little bit shy of that. $20,450 on each and every American. So you have seen the growth of the federal government just absolutely explode. And so the CEO of Open the Books says, while American families and businesses find ways to do more with less, which, right, especially during the Biden administration, I think, a lot of us were looking to how can we do more with less? Government does less with more. And he said, this is John Hart, who is the CEO of Open the Books. He said, today's federal government is 98 times bigger per person than it was just over 100 years ago. The best affordability and stimulus program imaginable is to reduce the waste, fraud, and central planning in government. Every dollar saved in Washington is a dream realized somewhere in America. Absolutely right. And that's why I really appreciated Iowa Senator Joni Ernst this morning as we were talking about Doge and the work that she is doing to continue, even though Elon Musk, has backed out of Doge now for a while, focusing on his companies. I think the work that they are doing is just absolutely incredible. And the Open the Books and what they're finding in the amount of federal government spending, it's just, just enough to blow your mind. Okay, let's leave it there for today. I want to thank all of you who are here, who are part of the fourth hour. You folks are great to me. You're great to me on Facebook. You're great for being a part of this. You've become subscribers on YouTube. And I don't know that I say thank you enough to all of you, because it's you that allow me to seriously, I have a job because of you folks. You folks have not turned your back on me. You have, more than any, have welcomed me into your car, your workplace, wherever you are, and I just can't thank you enough. And thanks for your patience this morning as things were a little bit rugged with. Again, I don't know what it was that caused our power problems, but I had called, my boss came down. I had given him a shout this morning, so he came down and he went down and he looked at one of the breakers downstairs, and he flipped it, and it immediately flipped right back off again. So there was something that was not quite right going on. So I appreciate your patience, your friendship, and just being a part of the program. All right, you have made it to the end of the video. You are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute to the Bunker Brigade. Those are the folks that are here each and every day. They're commenting. I see the comments clicking by Kathy and David, a number of others. Appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. So until tomorrow, my friend, I'm underground and gone.